Welcome back to Healthcare Sucks. What we were talking about the stock market, we got another little bump on that from North Korean guy that's going to review some of it for what's going on in China. So this one's going to be a quickie. I just wanted to throw it out so you kind of knew how severe things are going to get.
Time now for an in-depth look at the market news on this Monday, and for that I'm joined on the line by Dr. Yang Jun-sung, Professor of Economics at the Catholic University of Korea. Professor Yang, thank you for coming on today.
You're welcome.
As we just heard, the Chinese stock markets were closed for 11 days and opening again today. Everyone knew there was going to be a reckoning to be had because of the Wuhan coronavirus situation. So what happened today?
Okay, well, as mentioned in the previous story, the Shanghai index fell by 8.13% at the opening. Shenzhen stock index also fell by about 8.27% on opening. And after opening, it's been holding a bit steady. The markets have not closed yet, but the entire day it's been stable around that range. So it's not really recovering at all from the initial drop. Now, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index, they've opened a week early because, well, they operate on their own calendar, and they fell 0.8% on Friday, but they actually rose just a little bit today, 0.07%. Again, Hang Seng Index, they haven't closed their markets either, but they seem to have gotten all their drops out of the way last week. Now, the U.S. market and the European markets, they haven't opened yet, but if you look at Friday, it hasn't been a good day for U.S. markets or the European markets. The S&P fell by 1.8% on Friday, Dow by 2.1%, Nasdaq by 1.6%, and then the English FTSE fell by 1.3%, and European stock 600 fell by 1%, but they also had Brexit on Friday, so that probably fed into the negative aspect as well. Now, you have to remember, though, that because Chinese stock market did not open for a couple of weeks since the Lunar New Year holiday, they're taking all this hit at once. So I think it's a bit more instructive to see how it compares over the last 2 weeks with the foreign stock markets. The U.S. markets fell by about 3%. So even compared to that standard, Chinese market have taken a major hit, and the People's Bank of China will increase liquidity by 1.2 trillion yuan. That's the largest single-day increase since 2004, partially to deal with the contraction from the virus.
Well, that does help put it into perspective. The Korean stocks were also down sharply this morning, but recovered a little bit later in the session. What exactly was the story on the Kospi and the Kosdaq?
Okay, well, Kospi, it fell by 0.01% today. Kosdaq rose by 0.68%. So we seem to be stabilizing somewhat. If we looked at the Kospi and Kosdaq index since the Lunar New Year holiday, or since January 23rd, Kospi fell by 5.7%, and Kosdaq fell by 5.8%. So compared with the United States, which only fell by about 3%, Korea has taken a lot of hit as well. And a lot of people are concerned not only with the stock market, but with the exchange rate, because Korea won is approaching 1,200 won per dollar. And the last time this happened was when the economy was in a really bad shape last October. And then, as you said, as you mentioned in the previous stories, we're trying to estimate how much effect on this coronavirus will have on Korean GDP. Right now, the consensus seems to be that Chinese GDP will fall by about 1%, and Korean GDP will fall by about 0.2% because of that. But they may be underestimating things a little bit, especially if the coronavirus starts spreading more actively in Korea. Then it won't only be the exports and imports which are going to get hit, but the Korean domestic service industries. We're already seeing cases where people are not going to theaters, not going to movies, not going to restaurants or anywhere where there's a lot of people, and that's bound to have some effect on Korea's service industries. We've seen this during the SARS epidemic, as well as during the Seoul incident when everybody was too depressed to do anything, so the service industry really suffered.
Right. Well, to your point about what to do about all this, this week the finance ministry, the trade ministry, they'll be holding meetings throughout the week about the coronavirus situation. The Bank of Korea also due to release some numbers on December as well. Briefly, what should we be watching this week?
Okay, we should see what kind of policies that the government will put out. Obviously, in this case, the how to deal with spread of contagion will be as important, but still, I think there should be some kind of a policy for the service industries. They've been getting a lot of hit over the last 3 years. First with the sad retaliation, which cut into Korea's tourism, and then the minimum wage as well as the 52-hour work week, which raised the labor costs for these service industries, and now the coronavirus. So they're really getting hit a lot in the last 3 years, and we really can't do much to actually get more customers to these industries unless the virus stops spreading. So I think some kind of a temporary aid is much more appropriate.
And with that being said, I'll give you the slow hoedown here of what's going on. When they start talking GDP in 1 point for China, that's major. Okay, then they're talking about North Korea's had some bumps in the last few years and up and down and not doing better. Now they're talking all the entertainment things and stuff. They're not making money. So it's not just going to hit with the coming and going of the goods, the entertainment area. Once you wrap all this together, literally the dollars start clicking, like our deficit kind of dollars. At some point, there's going to be somewhere that's going to be a calculator. Somebody's going to make a calculator of all the losses going on. And they're going to be astronomical from this virus. Literally, I wouldn't be surprised if $1 trillion hasn't already got flushed. Literally. And with that, remember, coronavirus, China virus, plague, and healthcare sucks! Stay healthy, man. Take care of yourselves. And thank you to the troops and all the people on the front lines of all this. Because we need you definitely now to be watching what's going on, guys. Because anytime some monkey business could come up from the 12 monkey situation, and somebody might get a little itchy and decide to do something stupid. That's what happens in these situations. Go back and research previous plagues, previous world wars, previous wars period, and look at where it really came from, where it really has started, if you can get the real information. Healthcare sucks! Over and out.